So if you're a data analyst, you probably know the feeling. You've got the skills, you've got the certifications, but the job offers, they're just not coming in. You're not alone in this. And the issue isn't your qualifications. It's about how you're interacting with a hiring system that most people don't really see. Let's break down how that system actually works.
I mean, look at this. This is an incredibly common story, and it points to a huge disconnect between what analysts think companies want and the system that companies are actually using to find people. This isn't really a candidate problem. It's a system problem. And here's the one-line truth to this whole thing. The problem isn't your technical skill. It's how you frame those skills. See, most people assume they need to learn one more tool or get another certificate, but what they really need is to understand how the hiring game is actually played.
All right, so let's tackle the first big misunderstanding. Most people think that being a data analyst is a skills job, that the person with the longest list of programming languages and tools wins. The system just isn't built to reward that. This slide really shows you the core of the problem. On the left, you've got the tools that aspiring analysts focus on learning. On the right, you have the actual business problems that companies will pay someone to solve. A company isn't looking to hire SQL syntax. They're looking for someone who can perform an A/B test analysis. It's like they're speaking two different languages, and that gap is why so many applications just get lost.
Okay, so this brings us to the reality of the situation. Companies don't hire tools, they hire people who can solve their problems. The entire hiring system, from the job description to the recruiter's search, is designed to find the person who can fix a specific, real-world business issue.
You might assume that a big company like Citi is just searching their database for candidates who know SQL, but that's not the right way to think about it. A recruiter's search filters are much more specific than that. They're built to find people who have proven they can solve certain kinds of problems.
And this is a perfect example. This comes straight from Citi's own interview materials. They don't care if you can just write a group buy statement in theory. They need to know if you can apply that skill to find duplicate customer accounts. Why? Because that's a real, expensive problem for them that affects everything from compliance to marketing.
And you'll see this pattern everywhere. Take a look at these 3 jobs. They all have analyst in the title, right? But the core business problem is completely different for each one. Tabby needs to solve for employee retention. Apic World is focused on financial reconciliation. Dynatech needs someone to evaluate investments. A recruiter at one company is going to filter out candidates who don't show specific experience with their problem, even if the list of skills looks exactly the same.
All right, so here's your first small, actionable step. Find one job description you're interested in. Just for a moment, ignore the bulleted list of skills. Find the 1 or 2 sentences that describe the actual business problem they're hiring for. That's your target.
Okay, so you've identified the business problem. Now what? How do you signal to the system that you're the person who can actually solve it? Well, this all comes down to how recruiters read resumes. And trust me, it's probably not how you think they do.
The most common mistake people make is writing a resume that's just a list of responsibilities. You know, responsible for creating reports, tasked with cleaning data, things like that. All that tells a recruiter is what you were supposed to do, not what you actually accomplished.
Here's what's really happening. A recruiter is probably looking at your resume for maybe 6 or 7 seconds. They aren't reading it word for word. They're scanning, looking for patterns. And what are they trained to look for? Numbers, percentages, dollar signs, because quantified impact is the fastest, clearest signal that a candidate can solve problems and create real value.
So this is what you have to do. You need to transform every single bullet point on your resume. Don't just list a duty. You start with a strong action verb, describe what you did, add a number to prove that it worked, and then, this is key, you explain why it mattered to the business. That's the formula the system is designed to find and reward.
Now look at this example. It's pretty much perfect. When a recruiter's eyes scan this, they don't see fluff. They see 25% accuracy and 15% efficiency. That immediately translates into real business value. It doesn't just say you can do something. It proves you can make the business better.
Okay, here's your next action item. Go to your resume right now and just pick one bullet point. Rework it using that 4-step formula until it has a specific number or a percentage in it. Just changing one bullet starts to completely realign your resume with how this system actually works.
All right, let's talk about the last piece of this puzzle, the application system itself. The common wisdom is that applying for jobs is just a numbers game. The more you send out, the better your chances. This is fundamentally wrong. The system is not designed to reward volume.
Let's look at the numbers. The reality is that on average, only about 2% of candidates who apply for a job through an online portal ever make it to the interview stage. Now that's not a reflection of how good you are. It's a reflection of a system that's designed to filter people out. not to find the best person.
Now contrast that with this number. Some data shows that up to 80% of all hires come from referrals. Why is there such a massive difference? It's simple. A referral is a shortcut. It lets you bypass the entire filtering system and signals to the recruiter that you're a trusted, pre-vetted candidate. It just reduces their risk.
So, this brings us to our final action for today. Stop playing the volume game. Instead of spending your energy sending 10 more applications into that 2% black hole, use that same time to find just one person who already works at a company you're interested in. Your effort is much better spent trying to access the referral system than it is feeding the filtering system. So let's just pull all of this together. The frustration that so many good data analysts feel, it comes from playing a game without knowing the rules. The entire goal here is to shift your approach, to go from being confused about why things aren't working, to taking clear, simple actions based on how the system is actually designed.
This gives you a whole new way to run your job search. First, stop defining yourself by your tools. Define yourself by the business problems you can solve. Second, stop just describing your duties. Prove your impact with actual numbers. And finally, stop focusing all your energy on the job portals. Focus on the people who can help you get past them. This is how you start working with the system instead of fighting against it.
I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. When a recruiter looks at your resume or your LinkedIn profile, what are they seeing? Are you just showing them a list of things you know, like SQL or Python? Or are you showing them clear, undeniable proof of the business problems you can solve for them? The difference between those two answers, well, that's the difference between sending 400 applications and getting your next job offer.